So what in the world is a sinking fund? Why should you have one? And what are some of the sinking funds that I have and why I have them? So in this video, we're going to talk a little bit about sinking funds, the power of sinking funds, and why I think you should have as many as possible. So let's get right into it. My name is Cluff, and I'm a financial coach. I absolutely love helping people manage, protect, and grow their money. In fact, part of the reason why I want them to grow their money is so that they obtain a massive bank account. If you want to have a massive bank account, then make sure you hit like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the content. So every Tuesday, as you know, as you've probably been listening to my channel, I do my biz on Tuesday. On the first Tuesday of every month, I fund all of my sinking funds after I pay all my bills. And I was sharing that with a friend, and they said, "What is a sinking fund?" And I thought, that's that to me, that's one of those things in finance. We just know what sinking funds are, but not everybody knows that. So I have an opportunity now to share with her what a sinking fund was, and I thought I'd share that with you as well. So apparently, sinking funds were started many years ago, hundreds of years ago, actually, by governments to set money aside to prepare for future expenses. And so that's kind of the idea. It's kind of changed over the years, and now we use it in personal finance. And that's the idea, is to set aside money for future purchases. So most Americans will buy things on credit. They swipe the card, they pay for it later. Buy now, pay later, kind of an idea. Sinking funds is pretty much the exact opposite. You save first and buy later. So what happens is you actually end up buying things with money you already have in savings. So you're buying from savings rather than from credit. That's the power of a sinking fund. You actually put money aside, you build up the savings, you build up the cash to be able to then purchase that thing. So it's basically designed for either purchases you know are coming up soon, or regular purchases or regular expenses that you have. Maybe you have an expense once a year, kind of like a car registration, for example. Every year you're going to pay your car registration. So you set aside a few dollars every month so that when that car registration comes in, bam, you're ready to go. So I'm going to list, so now I'd like to give you a couple of sinking funds that I use and have heard of, and maybe you can extend that list further into things that you want to save for and build savings for. So I just shared with you that car registration is a perfect example of something that you have once a year that you've got to pay for. Well, what are some other things? Well, birthdays, for example. Like, you can save a couple of dollars every month for birthdays because birthdays are coming up. One of the big ones for sure is Christmas. Like, I know every year Christmas costs our family thousands of dollars. So what I do is in January, I start saving hundreds of dollars a month into a fund that I call my Christmas fund, so that by the time December rolls around, I already have several $1,000s in savings, and I don't have to pull from credit. One of the big kind of the funny things that we talk about every year in January is we got to get out of debt from all the bills, all the gifts we bought for Christmas. And so there's this huge push at the new year to get financially stronger and get all your debts paid off because you spent so much money in Christmas. Well, I decided that I was not going to do that anymore. I didn't want to pay off my credit cards in January and February because I racked up a bunch of stuff for Christmas. Instead, I wanted to save for Christmas, be prepared for Christmas, be proactive for Christmas. And so now I save money every year, every month for Christmas. And by the time Christmas rolls around, I've already got several $1,000s in savings. Now that you get the idea, what are some things you think you should be saving for? Like something that happens on a regular basis. So maybe Christmas, maybe birthdays, maybe some other holiday that you absolutely love that you want to put a bunch of money towards. As of the recording of this video, you can see I'm wearing a USA shirt. It's actually July 4th today. So I have a neighbor that loves to shoot off fireworks. Well, fireworks aren't cheap. So every year he sets aside money for fireworks. And so he has a great show for all the neighborhood. And that's something that's important to him. And he sets aside money for that. So what are some things that you want to set aside money for? What are some things that you know that you have every year, that you do every year, a vacation, a Christmas, a holiday? What is it every year you know that you're going to spend thousands of dollars that you could start a year ahead and put aside money every month so that when that event happens, you're already ready for it. You already have the money for it. Put in the comments below, what are some things that you would set aside as a sinking fund for your life? One of the great things about sinking funds as well is that, for example, with annual payments, you get a discount. So my car insurance, I get a discount for doing an annual payment. So instead of paying every month, I actually pay the whole year in advance, and then I save up every month so that I have a sinking fund for my car insurance. I also have a sinking fund for car repairs because you know as well as I do that cars break down on a regular basis, or maybe even maintenance, lube oil filters and things of that nature. I also have a fund for home repairs. So I'm a homeowner, and one of the things that not a lot of people realize is that once you buy a home, one of the additional expenses is home repairs. So I have a couple $100 every month that I go into a home repair fund so that if I need to upgrade anything or if I need to repair anything or anything breaks, I already have money set aside for it. Now, do I always have the right amount of money in my sinking fund for the bill that's paid? No. But let's say, for example, that I have to pay $500 for something and I only have $300 in my sinking fund. Well, I'm going to use the $300 for my sinking fund, and then I only have to put $200 on the credit card. So I think you can see that it's way better to have some money in savings than none. I'd rather put $200 on the credit card and pay that off at the end of the month than have to put $500 on the credit card because I wasn't prepared for that expense in advance. Recently, I had 2 weddings in my family. 2 of my daughters got married this year. And so I actually had a fund for their wedding. I had planned, as soon as they told me that they were going to be engaged, I started setting aside money for the weddings. I should have been prepared way in advance, like when they were little, but I didn't do that. And so as soon as I knew they were engaged, I started to prepare and set aside money so that at least we had something. And then the rest of it, obviously, I ended up pulling from my other savings accounts. But I had money set aside, at least in part, for certain wedding expenses. So that was nice to be able to have that. So what are some things, again, what are some things that you would do or where you could see yourself putting a sinking fund together for? Like, what are some, do you have a vacation coming up? Do you have a car you want to buy? Do you have a sinking fund for maybe a down payment on a home because you want to be a homeowner? What are some things that you would set up a sinking fund for? When you determine some things that you want to set up a sinking fund for, then I would say, go to your bank and see if your bank will allow you to set up sub-accounts and then actually label each of the savings accounts in your bank for that thing, like Christmas fund, vacation fund, car repair fund, whatever, health insurance, annual payment, car insurance, annual payment, car registration fund. Label those things and then just put the dollar amount into those things. That way you're not, that way you know exactly what that money is for, and you've earmarked it for that specific thing. And so that when an emergency happens, you're not pulling from your sinking funds. Well, if you have to pull from your sinking funds, it's good to know that you have the money there, but that money is designed for those things. One of the great things about having a sinking fund is that you can spend the money guilt-free. You know it's already there. It's for that very purpose. Whenever my wife and I are concerned about whether or not we're going to be able to pay for something, I tell her, look, we've been saving for this very thing, and the money is earmarked for this very thing. It's okay. We can absolutely spend and enjoy the spending experience because the money we have has been set aside for that very thing. So vacations, we went on a vacation recently and it was wonderful because we'd already had money set aside that we were able to use to be able to pay for it. So those are some things and reasons why I think sinking funds are very important. It gives you the ability to spend from savings rather than credit, keeps you out of debt, and keeps you in a place where you can spend money guilt-free. So I hope that you now know why it's so important to have sinking funds. Sinking funds can change your life. If you buy from savings rather than from credit, you're going to begin to change the trajectory of your financial future, and you'll begin to mentally and emotionally and physically even be financially independent and financially free and build your massive bank account. Make sure you click the link in the description below to get my free ebook. It's an ebook that I've created to help people manage their money more effectively, create a positive cash flow. Once you have a positive cash flow, you're going to be able to fund those sinking funds a lot faster. Thanks so much for watching. Until the next time, make sure you're out there building your massive bank account.